Grand Theft Auto has always been known as a open world crime franchise where you can do just about anything criminal to your heart's content, just like in GTA Online. But a few months ago during a live stream, myself, Kane, and others pondered the idea, well, what if we tried to do the opposite, live legal in LS? This is basically what I'm going to be doing in these live streams starting in November. I have a new character I created on the PlayStation, and she is level 1. She only has just over $5,000 in her account, and that's because when we originally started playing GTA Online, we started off at rank 0, rank 1, with once again only $5,000 in our account. So she's starting off at the very bottom, and she's not going to be able to commit any major crimes. That's the way we're going to play this series. So we're going to have to, like the title suggests, try to live legal in LS. So no major crimes, no stealing, no killing unless it's self-defense. So self-defense killings are allowed, but I'm going to try to avoid killing any NPCs in the game. Now there will be weapons that I'll be able to acquire for my character in this series, but it's going to have to be quote-unquote legal weapons, legal melee weapons, legal pistols, which means no AP, no fully automatic weapons, but shotguns, rifles, ARs, perfectly fine. Certain attachments are okay, like flashlight, scope, grip only, like no extended magazines. We're allowed to use the shooting range. So that's one of the things we'll be allowed to do. Various jobs. So this is going to make it very, very difficult to earn money in the game and be able to purchase things like garages, apartments. And that's kind of the point of the series, is to stack the deck against our characters and see how far we can go from rags to eventually riches in this series. So starting off, we're going to be able to only basically do two things with our character. Pizza this and taxi work. That's the two things I'll be focusing on at first. And the store robbery dynamic, there's a few dynamics that we might be able to do. The one where it has the red dot with the guy robbing the store trying to get away. We'll be able to stop the bad guy from getting away, I guess kind of like a vigilante of sorts, but we always have to return the money to the store. So that dynamic we'll be able to do. Time trials will be perfectly fine. Racing, parachuting, arena war if we ever decide to do arena war. Some adversary modes, not all of them. More like the sport adversary modes like sumo, deadline, because it has more of a video game feel and vibe to it. Overtime rumble when it occasionally returns. Overtime shootout, maybe. But for the most part, phase 1, the work will be revolved around making money in pizza this and taxi work, and that's how I'm going to accumulate money in order to buy things for my character. And once again, I know the game's called GTA, but she's not going to be able to steal in GTA. She's going to have to legally acquire things like garages, apartments, and yes, even vehicles. I cannot simply take a car off the street and go claim it, even if there are claimable vehicles. That's not how I'm going to play this game. Almost everything she's going to have to acquire via purchasing it, whether it's a vehicle, legitimate weapons, property, as well as clothing, unless it's like free clothing that you occasionally get for like Halloween or the holiday season. That's totally fine because you're getting it for free from the game. Eventually, our character will reach what I call phase 2, which allows us a few other options in this series. The MC Clubhouse with only the bike shop. So we'll only be able to do bike shop customization and sales. This one is kind of legal, so we're just going to play it as if it's legal. Everything else revolved around the MC work, the businesses, like all the illegal stuff. That's no bueno. We can't do that, but the bike shop is acceptable. The nightclub, but we can only have Solomon. You can buy the nightclub. We're going to kind of bend the rules on that if we ever get to the nightclub in this series. But we won't be able to acquire any of the other DJs because I think you have to do criminal stuff to get those DJs on board. So if we do end up with a nightclub, Solomon only. But, Solomon's the man anyway, so I'm totally fine with that. We won't be able to use the hub, unfortunately, because we can't have the MC businesses. We will be able to do the casino work with Agatha and Vincent, but we will not be able to do the casino heists, which means no heists will be allowed. The OG heists are the casino heists, are the Cayo Perico heists, because they are criminal in nature. So those are off the table in this series. However, if we make it to phase 3 eventually, then we will be able to do the Cluck and Bell mission to help Vincent out, because you're technically a good guy there, and I think it might be okay to do Cluck and Bell. We're kind of debating that, Kane and me, as to whether or not we decide to allow Cluck and Bell, but maybe we will, maybe we won't. Dispatch missions eventually, except for the unmarked ones, we won't be allowed to do that. Maybe ULP, but that's going into the gray area, so we may not do ULP stuff down the road. Bounty hunter work, except for the bank robberies. The bank robberies, you actually have to kill the targets. You have no choice but to kill them. But the other bounty hunter jobs that pop up where we can actually take the target alive and capture them and bring them back, that will be okay. But once again, that's far down the road in what I call phase 3 of this series. So it's going to be a quick minute before we get to phase 3R2. So those are the 3 phases that I envision the series going when it comes to building up our character as legal as possible. And by the way, some of you are probably wondering, well, what about speeding or our traffic laws? That's fine. We're just going to try not to crash or kill anybody in the process. But I'll try to be a little bit more careful when it comes to driving whenever I do get my character a vehicle eventually. But I'm not going to worry about speeding because there's no real speed limit in the game anyways. I don't really consider traffic laws to be a problem when it comes to this series, so we're just going to not worry about the quote-unquote traffic laws as long as NPCs are not killed in the process. But what happens if we do commit a crime and we get a 1-star wanted level? Can we simply try to get away from the police? I think that we decided on that issue. We would simply just surrender to the police, even though the police will end up, unfortunately, killing our character. We're just going to consider it a injury that our player gets. They go to the hospital and they survive the injury, and then the charges get dropped because the police used deadly force instead of non-lethal force, like arresting us or tasing us. So I think that's how we're going to get around the 1-star wanted thing, but we can't escalate it any further. The moment we get a 1-star wanted level, if it's apparent that we're not going to be able to get away from the police, especially when it comes to the theme of the series, Living Legal in LS, so we're going to try to keep it as legal as possible. But just in case we ever get a 1-star wanted level, we will just simply, quote-unquote, surrender to the police. It's unfortunate they simply won't just arrest you or fine you. Like in story mode, they will arrest Franklin, Michael, and Trevor if it's just a 1-star wanted level. I don't know why Rockstar never implemented that into online as well, but we'll just consider it a arrest, or an arrest gone wrong, but our character somehow survives. Now, along with trying to make money and buying properties and vehicles and moving our character up the ladder from rags to riches, there are other activities we'll be able to do in the game that are quote-unquote legal, including golf, darts, tennis, swimming, gambling at the casino, because that's technically legal. It's kind of in the gray area, but it's still legal to go gambling as long as you're of legal age. And we're going to assume my character is of legal age in this game. Arm wrestling, photography. So those are all the activities our characters can be able to do in the game. And when it comes to the collectibles, Kane and I discussed this as well. I think most collectibles are totally fine because you just have to go grab them, such as the movie props, playing cards, action figures, the bounty hunting dynamics. I don't know about that one. Maybe, maybe not. Treasure hunts, the media sticks, the shipwrecks, LD Organics, because it's legal in Los Santos and Southern San Andreas. So I think LD Organics collectibles are fine. The LS tags as well. So anything that's considered to be quote-unquote legal is perfectly fine in the Living Legal in LS series. And finally, the seasonal content, as long as it's quote-unquote legal stuff like collectibles, as we just talked about, or login rewards, that's totally fine. T-shirts, hats, masks, etc. You're able to actually acquire those in the Living Legal in LS series, whether it's for Halloween, Festive Surprise, etc. So there you go. That's pretty much the 411 for the new series that Kane and I will be launching on our channels, Living Legal in LS. Now, there are going to be times when Kane and I will be doing the series together via stream. There may be times when Kane does his own episodes and times whenever I do my own streams, and maybe we'll have other people join in on this series as well with their own characters, having to follow the same rules that Kane and I are doing. So whether it's a live stream or a video, it's all going to be part of the LLinLS series. And yes, I will have a playlist for this series with episodes from my point of view and Kane's point of view in the playlist going forward, starting in November. Probably the first weekend in November is when we're going to kick this series off. It's going to be a very interesting experience because the game is designed for us to be criminals. It doesn't really want us or reward us for being the good guy or trying to, be legal like the rest of the citizens of LS and Blaine County and Southern San Andreas. But that's pretty much what we're going to attempt to do in this series that's going to be ongoing until probably GTA 6 and 6 Online come out. So yeah, the deck is going to be stacked against us in this series, but that's going to be part of the fun. Trying to play the game a little differently than the way we have for over the past decade. Your thoughts, views, and opinions regarding the Living Legal and LS series coming soon. Welcome as always below in the comments section.